Would you check and see if the hearing loop is working? I think it is. Okay. Okay. My printer wouldn't print this morning with all my notes. Oh, okay, because the internet is down. But we're on the air. So I'd like to start the meeting. So this is the regular Board of Directors meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corp. This Tuesday, August 2nd, 9:30, Laguna Woods. The meeting will now be called to order. So the next would be the Pledge of Allegiance. So Director Goff-Hoffner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So acknowledge the media. So the next item would be the approval of the agenda. And what we do want to add is 11D. It will be reserve study results. And the time frame, what is the time frame on this? We have to?
It's 10:30.
10:30. So whatever we're doing at 10:30, we will interrupt so that the vendor can come in virtually and present to us the reserve study. With that being said, we do need to add it as 11D. So are there any other additions or corrections to the agenda? So if there are no other additions or corrections to the agenda, are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the corrected agenda is approved as corrected. So the next item is the approval of the minutes of July 5th, 2022, GRF Board Regular Open Meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? I look at Joan because she's the minute taker. She does the minutes. Okay, thank you. All right, so are there any objections? No objections? So if there are no objections, the minutes of July 5th, 2022 GRF Board Regular Open Meeting is approved as approved. So the next item is the approval of the minutes for July 21st, 2022 GRF Board Agenda Prep Meeting. Are there any corrections or additions or deletions? Hearing none. Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the July 21st, 2022 GRF Board Agenda Prep Meeting is approved. Thank you. So the report of the chair. Basically, I just wanted to talk about the board rules, and I want to make sure that everybody understood that we have a very busy agenda today, both open and closed, and so I'm asking everybody to keep within, there are 3 minutes, and minimize, your presentations when you would like to speak, so that we can move along with the meeting. The next item would be the CEO report.
Thank you, President Carpenter. Honorable members of the board, I have 3 updates this morning, and in the spirit of being brief, I will try to keep it very brief. The first starts with the 2020 fumigation program. The 2022 fumigation program. Just a reminder that the 2022 fumigation program is underway, having started in July, and will run through November, excluding major national holidays and religious holidays. California law requires the mutuals to fumigate entire buildings with dry wood termites. This limits mutual property damage and avoids costly structural repairs. Work is completed by the mutual's certified fumigation contractor, Newport Construction. Within 15 to 30 days of the scheduled date, residents and non-resident owners receive notification letters outlining necessary precautions, and the mutuals provide complimentary hotel stays and plant removal assistance. The village website, lagunawoodsvillage.com, has a wealth of information about the fumigation program, including instructions, checklists, and frequently asked questions. And again, this is available on the website under Residents, and then click Maintenance and Landscaping, Fumigation Information to view. Secondly, the 2023 business plan has upcoming meetings. Next week will be the televised business plan review meetings. It will kick off on Monday, August 8th at 1:30 p.m. with the GRF review, followed by United Board on Wednesday, August 10th, also at 1:30 p.m., and concluding on Friday, August 12th with the third board review at 9:30 a.m. All those meetings take place here in the boardroom. And lastly, I want to remind our residents of the newly implemented expanded times for our amenities. The expanded hours for the community center table tennis include Tuesday and Thursday evenings until 9 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from noon to 5 p.m. The expanded hours for the community center fitness center includes hours until 8 p.m. on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, as well as Saturday and Sunday hours from 8 a.m. to noon. Also, starting August 6th, the MAC Learning Center on the 3rd floor will be open on Saturdays from noon to 3 p.m. on a 2-month trial basis. And lastly, circuit training classes are now available in the Community Center Fitness Center. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the open forum. And so I need to ask, how many speakers do we have today?
I have a question. Bunny?
Yes, okay.
Sylvan, when will be the new hours effective for clubhouses? Gyms?
The Community Center Fitness Center has adopted those new hours already.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when it will be effective, which date?
They started 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Okay, staff, how many speakers do we have today?
We have roughly 5 in-person speakers and 2 emailed in speakers.
Thank you. So at this time, the members only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people. No audio or video recording by attendees. No rude or threatening comments. Members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom link, which the number is 981-312-57242, or call 1-669-900-6833, or email meeting@vms.org to have your message read during the forum. So who's our first speaker?
First speaker is VJ or Miss Jones, Manor 8790.
I'm hoping that I was at one of your meetings for the architectural meeting and the range. I'm president of Five Birds Archery Range. It's sweltering in there at night. I'm wondering if you could expedite the installation of the swamp coolers. That's number one. I mean, I don't expect an answer. And the other thing is, why are we paying $25 to VMS and I can't use the post? The post isn't owned by VMS. The post is owned by a hedge fund back east, actually. I called and asked them. Why are we paying $25 annually? That's it. Thank you.
Microphone's too low.
Pardon?
Can you turn that microphone up? We really can't.
That's what I thought. I didn't know it was my hearing or what, but I could hardly hear.
Yeah, we could turn the microphone up.
Yes, okay, thank you.
It's difficult to hear.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Carol Gay, Manor 603C.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to address you. My concern is this lack of security that we're now having. For 27 months, I stayed in to make sure or ascertain that I would not get COVID. I found and observed that it was really very careful here. The clubs made sure that everybody was vaccinated, boosted, and I was very impressed by this, and I went out. On June 11th, I met some man, and we were dancing, and he asked me out, and we did have a nice little dinner date on Tuesday night, and Wednesday night he told me he came back from urgent care and had COVID. So I also found out on that date that he came from Laguna Niguel. And I said, well, how did you get in? He said, well, I went to gate 9, the guy asked me, may I help you? He said, yeah, I'm here to see the Nomads. That was the band that was playing that night. He said, okay, go enjoy yourself. So I was very upset about this, to say the least. I called up security, and they directed me to the supervisor, Sarah Harris. And Sarah Harris says she will look into it. I gave her the exact time, somewhere after 5:30, gate 9. And she said, I will call you back today, which I never heard from her. I tried calling a couple of times, and to no avail. The second issue about security is that some girl who I met at one of the workshops asked me, could she become my guest? She did not live in the village. I said, yes, you may. And she walked in. I said, well, how did you get in? She said, well, I just walked by and just got in. I said, okay. And the following month, I saw her at the dance, and the Boomers dance, and I said, how did you get in? She said, oh, I'm a member now. I said, well, how did you become the member? She said, I just gave them my information, and that was it. It seems like the clubs are in competition about how many members they can get, and obviously, the more members they have, the more they can get better entertainment. And they're not really checking on addresses. And the only suggestion that I thought of is that before they renew our membership, is that everybody is required to show our IDs. We all have individual IDs. Mine is 206142. And just like we need to do it for the gyms and other places, I think it's mandatory that we start doing it for each of the club renewals, and not just automatically do it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Chris Collins, Manor 3306Q.
Good morning. I'm here with an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village, which is on behalf of residents that are experiencing temporary financial crisis. And this is about South County Outreach, which is here to help us. Food and gas prices are high and still rising, and many explanations are offered. For example, the war in the Ukraine, effects of the pandemic, blockages in the supply chain with no clear consensus. But one thing is certain: high rising prices and inflation are hitting those on fixed incomes hardest hit, and those with less flexibility to adjust. And those on fixed incomes are often senior citizens. There are local resources to help stretch limited dollars. One of those resources is the South County Outreach, which is an agency the foundation has been partnering with for several years. It's located where the 5 meets the 405 at Lake Forest Drive. Through its food pantry, the South County Outreach distributes both non-perishable and fresh food daily. Those using the food pantry can get about a week's worth of food once a month, including fresh produce, meat, and dairy, as well as shelf-stable items. The food pantry operated by South County Outreach is unique in that anyone visiting the pantry controls the food cart and what goes in it. It's just like at the grocery store. The pantry hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and on Fridays from 9 to 11. If you'd like to use the South County Outreach food pantry, but you do not have your own transportation, free van transportation is provided by the foundation to village residents presently on the second Tuesday of each month. And to apply for such transportation, please contact social services at 949-597-4267. If you have any questions about your eligibility to use the food pantry and its location or other services available, please call the pantry at 949-687-2412. With South County Outreach and Village Social Services, the Foundation of Laguna Woods works to ensure access to good food even when finances become very tight. For more information about how the foundation achieves its motto, which is Neighbors Helping Neighbors, please go to the foundation or the website at foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Grace Stencil, Manor 806A.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. I moved into Laguna Woods Village just under 5 years ago, so I was here when COVID struck. Laguna Woods Village was very active in protecting its residents, employees, and visitors, staff, by providing a convenient site for vaccines, made sure everyone was masked, and even closed clubhouses and outdoor activities for the duration of the COVID. I appreciate all that care. The concern for human health was extremely obvious. Thank you for that. These actions to protect us from viruses now begs the question, why has the powers to be started putting all these people that you spent 3+ years to protect, now subjecting them to a very dangerous situation? I'm going to read something, and that is the definition of infestation. The presence of any unusually large number of insects or animals in a place, typically so as to cause damage or disease. Excuse me. Waste management program has recently implemented what the waste management program recently implemented is just plain unacceptable. It attracts rats and other rodents, but most obvious are the thousands of flies that congregate on the dumpsters, also in and around the organic waste baskets. Flies are invading homes situated close to the dumpsters. The managing company allows the containers as well as the area around and under it to gather trash. The odor is offensive. My guests must pass by the dumpsters to enter my manor and have recently commented on the odor. I want to read to you from the CDC, research centers, and universities. Because of its close association with people, its abundance and its ability to transmit disease is considered a greater threat to human welfare than any other species of non-biting flies. Each housefly can easily carry more than 1 million bacteria on its body. Some of the disease-causing agents transmitted by houseflies to humans are Shigella, dysentery, diarrhea, salmonella, typhoid fever, E. coli, and cholera. Sometimes the organisms are carried on the fly's tarsi or body hairs, and frequently they are regurgitated into food when the fly attempts to liquefy it for ingestion. I don't know what the best result might be. and it's going to sound rude and I apologize, but I suggest that you not ask the brain surgeon who came up with this plan to please consider our health and do something to protect us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Ann Beltran, Manor 8540.
Good morning. I'm here with questions about the EV charger applications. My husband and I bought a Chevy Bolt over a year ago, and we were able to do that. It's affordable to retirees because of all the federal tax incentives and state rebates and so on. Those tax incentives and rebates are due to continue, and the likelihood of more retirees being able to afford these cars. We don't need to be buying all the Teslas you see on the freeway. There are affordable EVs now. The likelihood of retirees buying those vehicles is very high. People come into this village and often think of buying the last car that they will purchase new. So, and we're not outliers, because if you look at the data, it shows that of new car sales, 5% is already EVs. And the data shows that in 19 countries, when EV sales have exceeded 5%, it's considered a tipping point. So the village has to be ready for people, new residents coming in who want to see some accommodations. So I know that you've put in your applications for the EV chargers, but what is the status of the program? Where do I go? Which meetings? I follow the maintenance and construction meetings of GRF, but is this going to come up in finance next because it has to be approved? There's really not enough communication, not a clear pathway for how residents can interact with this program. So if you could please give us more information, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
The next speaker is via an email, and their name is Pat Cameron. Their manor is 226A, and the subject is flashing stoplights. They said, very unfortunately, this topic was recently brought to my attention. I hope it's not too late to be counted among the voices objecting. Since made aware of the concern, I have been much more diligent in making full stops, and many of my friends have also. This points to the effectiveness of continual communication to remind us how important this is. Please consider other non-intrusive ways to solve what is perceived as a problem. I would suggest that 24/7 flashing lights in our village, spending money that should be spent elsewhere on much more pressing needs, isn't the way to go. Speed bumps, warning or caution signs, increasing fines so they are actually a deterrent. Posting a sign at a stop sign listing fine amount. All a much better approach. But honestly, just more communication on a consistent basis might just be the ticket. Thanks for your consideration. And that is all for the open forum speakers.
Okay, thank you. So, do any of the board members want to respond at this point in time to any of the items? Risa.
I'm sorry that you experienced some difficulties. And we understand that we need to...
Risa, is your mic on?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We understand that we always can improve the security, but there are a lot of function in the village that people come from outside. Some of the gates, we even don't check things for, Clubhouse 2 or Restaurant 19 and Clubhouse 7. We don't have even gates for them. People come in. We have gates, but we don't have monitoring system for them. We always can improve the security on the other gates, but those function that goes on in the village, a lot of people from outside come in, and they get permission to come in and participate in those activities. I don't know the solution. The chief is here. He can talk about it. But because of those functions, it's going to be very hard to control those kind of security that you're looking for, that we strictly don't allow people to come in from outside.
Excuse me,
Sure.
that's not my
Okay, It's okay, no debate. Joan?
Oh, I just,
I just want to say, I saw the head of security get together with you, and I'm sure something's going to be done about it. We need to tighten up our identification when people come in from the outside, and that's possible. If they stop at the gate, they should be identified. I agree with you.
And, okay, Anita? I'm sorry, Elsie, I'm sorry.
My name's, Anita's my middle name.
Okay.
Nice save, huh? The lady who talked about the $25, why should we pay VMS $25? Were you talking about the globe that you're paying the $25 for?
No, we have to pay VMS.
But for what?
Well, they're saying administrative fees.
For what?
For what though, dear?
Well, for being a club and furthermore.
Oh, for being a club.
The post, the globe.
Oh, okay.
Put our postage in the globe.
Put our postage in the, oh, okay, never mind. I apologize, I'm not prepared to address that. Maybe somebody else is. I apologize. I thought you were talking about your subscription to the Globe.
No.
Okay, I apologize.
Why can't I advertise in the Globe? I'm paying the $25 to the Globe, but VMS want it as a club.
No, ma'am, I can't answer you, and I apologize.
I can have Brian speak to you in regards to the fees, but the fees are set for clubs. And the reason that you have those fees is because there are administration costs that have to be covered. And so all clubs are being charged a fee to be a club. And that rolls over every single year. And that won't be changed. I don't know if you have an understanding of what it's for, but what I would suggest is that afterwards you talk to Brian about the club fees, and maybe there would be a better, understanding in regards to that. Oh, Brian wants to say something.
Brian's right behind you. Why don't you come up?
Good morning, Madam President, Board of Directors. So we do have a club administration fee that we do charge annually based on the size of the club. The archery club is a pretty small club, so the base fee starts off at $25 if you have, I believe it's 25 people or less. And the benefits that the clubs get would be access to TV6 on a monthly basis. They can put advertisements in the Globe under the club section. And then just administratively, obviously managing the facilities for the different clubs and their programs and their activities. So that's the fee that was imposed by GRF, I believe, a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic hit.
Okay, thank you. Yvonne, okay.
The lady that was talking about the messy trash. You live in a 3-story building over in 3rd?
I do not.
You live in 3rd?
I live in United.
Really? I haven't heard anything about United. I just know that the 3rd board is addressing that problem right now.
It's a big problem.
It's a big problem in 3rd also.
So
Take it back
I
to your
think,
board. Thank you. I'm sorry.
yes, approach. Oh, okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I believe our speaker and the board would be happy to hear that we're planning on replacing the organics carts with clean, fresh organics carts, probably end of this month or next month. So we'll be going throughout the community and doing that. In addition, we've been promoting the use of the compostable bags. That will really make the business of organics recycling much cleaner. So we've been promoting that through e-blast, and we're also working on other ways to push that information out to really encourage people to use the compostable bags. And between the swapping out of the bins on a periodic basis and the use of the compostable bags, we hope that at least makes a big contribution to cleaner organics recycling.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam President? Me, over here.
And let's see, all right, we have 2. So
Yeah.
Joan and then Jim, okay?
I have a question about the new bins. Carol, are they going to, when they replace these bins, are they going to be sealed better? There's a problem with rats, and it is a problem. So, you have any idea what kind of design they're talking about?
Well, the design is going to be the same type cart. It's just going to be a clean cart. The complaint that we've been hearing from some residents is that they're just dirty and they're attracting flies. So they're going to be a clean cart. But we also encourage residents to keep the lids closed.
Yeah.
And that seems to be occurring, but the design will be the same.
Well, rats are the other problem.
Right, and we have installed the bait boxes. Landscape has helped us with that throughout the village and put the in the trash enclosures. So that is helping, but yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
While you're up there.
Okay, Jim?
I understand it's a state mandated.
Absolutely, yeah. Organics
The organic
recycling is
state
mandated
so
by
it's
the
not something
state.
that we put in place. Also, we depend on the vendor to supply all of the containers and things of that nature. So do we have a relationship with them whereby they can provide better containers or more sealed containers of some sort without additional cost? Well, we're going to end up paying for it no matter what. But
right.
Yeah.
This is a contract with the city, and Robert meets weekly with the city, CR&R, the contractor, and the village to bring these items to their attention for resolution.
Okay, Juanita?
I'm not for you, Robert.
Okay.
Sort of. I'd like to just say a few words for Ms. Beltran. No one advocates for the EV chargers more than I do. And I have worked for those, and we're looking at those, et cetera. But I'd like to remind you that we do not provide gas stations for gas cars. We do have some EV chargers right in back of there, so people moving in know that there is a place that they can go, and there are a number outside the village, just as there are gas stations outside the village. So it's a very expensive thing, and it's something that we are looking at to the future and will continue, but I don't think it's a given that anybody that moves into the village has access to EV chargers.
Do you want to speak to that, Egon? Thank you.
Yeah, on the EV chargers, SCE has come out now and looked at all of the locations that are near the clubhouses. And the status is that we've asked Bart Mejia, who's handling that project, to set up a meeting where SCE representative will come to the village and we can sit down and we can talk to him and work out whatever there is to discuss on these stations. Meanwhile, as it was noted, there are 7 charging stations behind the building here, and generally speaking, there are always spaces available. And if it gets to be a big, if we get to see a big surge in vehicles, then we can certainly even put them in at our own cost, but that'll have to be determined. In the meanwhile, as I say, there's still a lot of charging available behind the building all hours of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. The EV chargers has really been an issue for us, and one of the reasons is because of our current infrastructure. And because the mutuals basically don't have the infrastructure to accommodate the EV chargers, ones that have carports, the people that have homes that can charge it, in the garages, it's okay. But the ones that are in carports, we have a problem. And so what they've done is they've pleaded, with GRF to do something about it. And basically they wanted us to do something as an amenity. But no matter what we do, it'll never be enough. We have 18,000 people. If we put 10 chargers in, it's not going to cover, the need for the community. So if you can understand, it's really a dilemma for us in how we're going to serve, these electric cars in the future. And what I'm seeing, because I'm watching it very closely, because the demands that people are asking for here in the village, is how many of these stations are being built outside the community. And currently, from what I understand, that there are more, I'm finding the right word, stations for EV chargers outside the community, and those will grow as the demand grows. That's just a summary of the issue, that we have. It really is an issue that is difficult for us to resolve at this point in time. So, thank you. The stop signs, they've been approved. We are going to put in 21, and it is a pilot program. With a pilot program, if there are some issues where some of them are going to be placed, then after the pilot program, we readdress it and see if there is really a problem. But what I really want to say is that people that I see in the community are assuming that it's going to be a problem. And our staff basically looked into it. They did some research on it. They, considered the reflection of the light, what it's going to impact in anybody's manner. I mean, they did all this research before we even decided to go ahead, with the stop signs. So keep in mind, it is a pilot. And if it proves that we need to do something else or take some of them out, because there is a problem, that will be considered. So thank you, but it is approved. Thank you. The security, I just want to speak about the security at the gates. I really do think that, Don is the committee chair for security. And I really do think that we need to tighten it up a little bit. Any other gates, like Reza was saying, the gates for 7 and for 16, for the clubhouse 7, and so it's gate 16 and 12, okay? They are open gates. And they don't have to, show a card or anything like that to be able to get into it. But this is what I want to tell you about the security, okay? 72, did we just approve 72 security cameras? I don't recall how many that we just approved to be installed throughout the community. And so I just want you to know that we take security very seriously. And these will be installed at gates, clubhouses, all through the community to ensure us, more security. We're putting up gates. One of the issues is the, I call it crooked fence, but it's not crooked fence. It's what? Shepherd's Crook. Shepherd's Crook, yes, Shepherd's Crook. That has been a project for several years now to putting up those fences, and all the mutuals are a part of that in order to also to help to ensure the security. So, yes, Reza?
Yeah, and the issue that the lady brought up, membership in a club, if you're not member of the community, doesn't give you the access to this community, should not.
Right.
Because you have to have a pass to come in.
Right.
But just being a member of a club should not give you access to this community. I don't know what happened, why they, it's not working. I mean, the chief going to look into it and make sure that people know that even if you're outside or a member of club, doesn't give you automatic access to this community. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so is there any other comments from the directors? Oh, okay.
Director Casey.
Casey.
Or Diane Casey would like
Diane
to speak.
Casey.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what you were saying about the flashing lights, because you didn't mention that this was raised by the vision impaired.
Right.
So that's important, because that's something they requested. And then there was another point. Oh, and you can't have speed bumps because the fire department doesn't want that. So, and then what Reza just said on. Oh no, I'm sorry. I wanted. Anyway, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Diane. All right. Are there any other remarks? So if there are no other remarks, we will move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended by action by committees and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be the subject of further discussion and action by the board. So the first item is recommendation of Finance Committee. A, consistent with its statutory obligations, a committee of the board consisting of the treasurer and at least one other board member reviewed and approved preliminary Golden Rain Foundation financials for the month of June 2022. By this vote, ratified that such review can be confirmed in this month's board member open session meeting minutes. And A and B is update the committee appointments. Do I have a motion? Okay, Joan.
I move we approve the consent calendar.
You have a second? Are there any objections?
Can we get who seconded the motion?
Reza.
Oh, okay, thank you.
If there are no objections, then the consent calendar is approved unanimously. So the next item is unfinished business. So we need to, I'm asking to entertain can't speak here, entertain a motion for nuisance policy. And we've just completed the 28 days. And I will have to tell you the purpose of this nuisance policy is because we are also working on a interboard anti-harassment, anti-abuse, intimidation policy where the nuisance policy was included on this. So we needed to separate it out and have a separate nuisance policy, which was approved last month. So initially approved. So we need the final approval with the 28 days. So do I have a motion? Will you read the resolution? Yes.
Resolution 90-22-XX nuisance policy. Whereas the Board of Directors has recognized the need to revise the harassment and nuisance policy, and whereas on June 7, 2022, the Board of Directors approved an interboard anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy and formation of a joint hearing body. The policy and joint hearing body were approved for initial notification and have been postponed 28 days to comply with Civil Code 4360. And whereas the purpose of the updated policy is to set forth guidelines regarding nuisance complaints only as the harassment portion of the original policy is now part of the interboard anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy. Now, therefore, be it resolved, August 2nd, 2022, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the nuisance policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolved further that Resolution 90-21-36 adopted October 5th, 2021 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we adopt this resolution.
I second it.
Who seconded? Elsie seconded.
Thank you. Are there any objections?
Yes.
Okay.
I have some problems and I need to bring it up. First of all, in the nuisance policy itself, on page 4 of 8, under the word noise, I think they meant barking dogs instead of biting dogs, the third line down.
Yes, I saw that, and I meant to bring it
Okay,
up.
and the other thing is rather large, on the next page, 5 of 8, under enforcement. For this policy, they still have GRF as the enforcer, and we are establishing an all-hearing board. So I'm confused whether we keep this or do we put in the joint hearing body at this point?
The nuisance policy, any nuisances need to be brought to the board. It's not part of the hearing board, the new hearing board.
So this policy will be stated that this isn't exactly a part of the policy. There is a nuisance policy incorporated in what we have for the anti-harassment.
No. So let me explain.
Please.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we are creating a new hearing body that will handle harassment, anti-harassment, and abuse and anti-intimidation. Okay. One of the reasons why we had to have this nuisance policy is because GRF's prior policy included harassment and nuisance. Okay, so we had to separate that and have our own separate nuisance policy, because nuisance covers, it covers many other different things than harassment does. And I was thinking of the mutual, so I couldn't say that it includes hoarding or, too many plants on a balcony, but it's that type of thing.
Basically breaking the rules.
Pardon?
Breaking the rules? The general rules for GRF? It's not operation rules we're talking about. It's the general rules of the community. No barking dogs, no loud noises, no.
Right, that's it.
It's right here, noise, odors, and violations.
Right.
Well, I'm still confused as to the enforcement.
The enforcement is
Should
the
this
same.
even be in here?
Okay. The enforcement and is the same as it has always been in the past. When you have a problem with nuisance, it comes to the board for hearing.
To the individual board?
Yes, the individual board.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm confused.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Did I clear that up? Okay.
So
All
this,
right.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. It gets complicated. So I'm seeing Francis, I'm seeing Jose on here. And I'm wondering if we're ready for the reserve study. And that's why Jose is on here. Are we ready for that?
No, he's on, he's waiting until 10:30.
Okay, all right, great. All right. So
Vote.
Let's vote. Are there any objections? So if there's no objections, then the nuisance policy is approved. Thank you. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve internal dispute resolution policy. So this has been revised. We approved it initially based upon approval of GRF Council. So GRF Council has reviewed it, and the revised is in your packet. So please read the resolution.
This is for a final vote, right?
Pardon?
This is for a final vote?
No, this is going to be in
Delay,
28 days.
All right.
Yes.
All right, this is Resolution 90-22-XX, Internal Dispute Resolution Policy. Whereas the Board of Directors has recognized the need to adopt an internal dispute resolution policy, and whereas the Internal Dispute Resolution, IDR policy, is to be followed by GRF and its members in connection with disputes relating to the enforcement of the governing documents. And whereas the law requires a fair, reasonable, and expeditious procedure for resolving such disputes, and further authorizes GRF to develop its own procedure for these purposes, known as IDR or Meet and Confer. Now, therefore, be it resolved September 6th.
Is that the correct
That's the
date?
dates that's on here. It should be today, shouldn't it?
Okay.
September 6th for the second reading
Is the second meeting.
It's for a 28-day postponement.
I'm sorry. Don't mind me. September 6th, 2022, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the internal dispute resolution policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move we accept this resolution for discussion purposes and postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
Is there a second? Okay, is there any discussion?
Yvonne seconded.
Okay. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, there are no objections?
Approved.
Hearing none, the motion to approve internal dispute resolution policy is approved. Thank you. The next item is the Interboard Anti-Harassment, Anti-Abuse, and Anti-Intimidation Policy, formation of the joint hearing body. But before we have any discussion on that, Siobhan, would you like to explain what update us?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much.
All right.
Going back to the very beginning, in May, all boards introduced the Interboard Anti-Harassment Policy and formation of a joint hearing body. However, there were several comments made by each of the boards at those May meetings. So the committee that consists of the presidents of the three corporations, GRF, United, and Third, as well as the VMS chair, met to review those comments. In June, they came forward with a new policy that reflected the changes that were agreed upon by the committee, as well as those items that are guided by law. In June, GRF and United both reintroduced the policy, but the third board voted to send it back to the committee for some further work. So in July, the committee spent the month revising the policy one more time to reflect input from each of the three boards. And what is before you today is the culmination of that effort. And we are asking each board to reintroduce the policy in August for 28-day member comments. The policy has been reformatted, hopefully to be a little more user-friendly in terms of reading the document. And we've spent considerable time coming up with a flow chart that documents the entire process. And that was provided to you, the board, in hard copy in a large format so you can easily read the steps involved in the process. So with that, we will be asking the board to reintroduce the policy this morning and place it on 28-day hold.
Thank you. All right. Please read the resolution.
Resolution 90-22-XX, Interboard Anti-Harassment, Anti-Abuse, and Anti-Intimidation Policy and Charter of the Joint Hearing Body Committee. Whereas the Board of Directors of Golden Rain Foundation, GRF, United Laguna Woods Mutual, United, and Third Laguna Hills Mutual, Third, require a clear and consistent policy to address claims of harassment, abuse, and intimidation by directors to staff of Village Management Services, Inc., fellow directors, and residents, as well as claims involving harassment, abuse, and intimidation by residents to staff of VMS directors and other residents. And whereas this anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy, known as policy, is intended to provide guidance relative to such behavior and issue a mechanism for addressing same by the Anti-Harassment, Anti-Abuse, and Anti-Intimidation Joint Hearing Body Committee. And whereas this policy is being adopted by the Board of Directors of GRF, United, and Third in the exercise of their respective duties to maintain, protect, and enhance the value and desirability of Laguna Woods Village and the interests of all of its members. Now therefore be it resolved, August 2nd, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby introduces the Anti-Harassment, Anti-Abuse, and Anti-Intimidation Policy and Charter of the Joint Hearing Body Committee as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution for discussion purposes and postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
Second.
Juanita,
Is there any discussion?
I have a couple of things. I have a couple of scriveners within the document.
Okay.
On page 6 of 18, under Roman numeral 8, B, the CEO confers, and it should be with, W-I-T-H, not will.
Okay.
Okay, and then a second one, small. On page 9 of 18, under member disciplinary process.
Okay, Joan, that's going to be revised. That has nothing to do.
The word clutter shouldn't be there.
Right, but we're not approving that. That's only there as reference.
It's info, okay. All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
so we're not approving that, and the ad hoc committee will go over all of that.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay.
That was all I had.
So are there any other comments? So if there's no other comments, are there any objections? If there are no objections, the motion to approve the interboard anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy and formulation of a joint hearing body is approved without objection.
We're introducing it for 28-day hold.
Yes. Yes, we will have the 28-day. Thank you. Hooray, I hope it goes through this time. Yes, we've been working hard on it, believe me. Okay, so the next item would be the
Compliance.
the reserve study.
Reserve
Oh,
study.
we add item D. And Jose, let's see, what time is it? They were gonna come
We're
on
almost
at
there. Let me-
10:30, yeah.
Are they here?
Yeah, let me reach out to the reserve specialist. 1 minute.
Can't understand you.
Yeah,
He's going to reach out to the reserve specialist who's going to be
Okay.
presenting. He's not in the Zoom as of yet.
he's not here yet.
Yes, not
Okay.
yet.
Should we go on?
All right, so, we can move on, or we can take a 5-minute break. And I think we should take a 5-minute break.
Take a break.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take our 5-minute break and come back in 5 minutes. And that will give time for the vendor to connect with us. Thank you.
Bunny, I have a question.
Thank you.
He's coming.
Okay. So we are on unfinished business 11D, which is the reserve study. And we have Jose, and I'll have him introduce Sean. But I have seen the reserve study, and also a portion of it was presented at the Finance Committee. And so Sean is going to present it, to the entire board, and basically so the audience can see it also. But I can tell you, great results, good report. So, Jose, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to give the board, the entire board, the opportunity to hear directly from our contracted reserve specialist. Then we have Sean Anderson with us, who's the president of the Orange County portion of Association Reserves. And this is the company that's been hired to take a look at all of the GRF assets and figure out what kind of funding is recommended here for the next 30 years to make sure that we have sufficient amount in the reserves. But again, I'll let him make all the introductions and let you know where the results is for GRF. And without any further ado, we'll turn it over to Sean, who will share a presentation with us. And we'll make this presentation available to you all after the meeting.
Great. Thank you, Jose, and thank you, Madam President, for that introduction. I'm going to briefly introduce myself, give you my bio. I'm Sean Anderson. I'm president of Association Reserves Orange County. I was the project manager on your reserve study. I began working with Association Reserves in 1999 as a project manager, which shockingly now feels like a long time ago, but I feel like 1999 was just a few years ago. In 2003, I became a partner and opened our Orange County office. I personally completed around 4,000 reserve studies. Our Orange County team completes about 600 reserve studies a year, and it's ranging from large master plan communities like Laguna Woods, Costa del Sol, Leisure World Seal Beach, Rancho Mission Viejo. We also work with schools, worship facilities, and business parks, but community associations are bread. That the GRF study would need a longer. I brought what I consider our A team for our firm. This group obviously included myself, but I also included our director of operations for Orange County, Sabrina Willison, Sean Krogari, who's president of our Los Angeles office, Johannes Korm, who's the senior project manager at the Los Angeles office, Matthew Swain, who's president of our San Diego office, Florida office. He has tremendous experience in golf courses, and we don't have as much experience with golf courses in Orange County as they do in Florida. So he came out and helped us and kind of led the team with our golf course site. Bergman, who's our senior project manager in Orange County. So between all of us, we've got about 100 years of reserve study experience. And I did the calculation, and our site inspection took a combined 20 days to complete, which was great. It was very, you guys have a beautiful, well-run community, and it was fun to be there. Wonderful amenities. So going through on some generals on reserve studies, the way that we gauge strength in reserve funds is by special assessment risk. And associations above 70% funded are at a low risk of special assessment, and that's considered to be a strong position. Basically, low risk of special assessment, we did an analysis of it. Basically, those communities have a 1% chance of special assessment. Associations between 30 and 70% funded are considered to be in a fair position or have a median. And the only caveat I'm going to add to that is they're still only at about a 10% chance of special assessment. So really not a problem to be there. Associations below 30% funded, that's where there's a problem. That's a high risk of special assessment and what we consider a weak position to be in. Gladly, you guys with the GRF are not in a weak position. You guys are, if we combined the two reserve studies, would be at 49.65% funded, which is a fair position to be in. It's a mid-range position, but I don't see any scenario where you guys have special assessments coming at you. You guys have a lot of cash on hand. You do have a lot of expenses over the next 4 years, but you have adequate cash to offset that, and your reserve contributions are strong enough to offset the ongoing deterioration rate. So with that, we are going to recommend an increase in reserve funding, but it sounds like the increase is going to be able to be accomplished using transfer fees and not relying on an increase in assessments. So with that, we built in increases in the coming years. We know that there's inflation going on. We want to increase the contribution rates over the years so that we continue to build strength in the fund, continue to offset that ongoing deterioration. And with that, the GRF could be above 70% funded in 10 years. Again, it's a 30-year process. That's all we care about. But your guys' contribution rate is strong enough with slight increases each year. You can grow in the fund and still accomplish all of the projects you guys want to accomplish. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go through the executive summaries with you. The first one we're going to look at is the equipment portion of the study. The current full funding balance is $16,994,176, and we have $6,773,809 at the beginning of the fiscal year. So that's 39.9% funded. And a good way to think of percent funded is if you have an asset that costs $10 and it has a 10-year life, year one, you need $1 to be 100% funded. So, and we have that 10 years to grow. So year 9, we need $9. Year 10, we spend the money. All we need is $1 in reserves again to be 100% funded. So with that, you guys are underfunded at 39.9% funded, but you're still in that medium risk of special assessment. So what we're thinking here is we want to kind of put our foot on the gas with the reserve contribution to build up towards that 70% funded level. And so with that, we want to look at what is our deterioration rate of the assets. And our annual deterioration rate is basically 4.3 million. If we just fund at 4.3 million above 0.9 million in reserves, but we don't want that because that's gonna lower us down towards a higher risk of special assessment. If we're currently funding at 5.3 million, we're recommending you go up to little, and that will properly offset that ongoing deterioration and grow the fund towards 100% funded. So let me show you what that looks like. This is our annual deterioration rate. This is our recommended contribution. This is the alternative contribution to stay above 2%. Let me show you the 30-year funding for the equipment. As you can see, we have a lot of expenses this next year, and we dropped to 31.2% funded, which isn't a problem because we're above 30%, and we're right back up to 44%. If you notice, we're not doing giant increases. We're doing slight increases, and for the equipment, we're at 75% funded in 2029. So those are all really consistent with communities that were built at the same time you guys were built, and with the same amenity types. So I'm going to go over to facilities, where we're projecting a starting balance of 15 million, slightly over that, and our fully funded balance is 25 million, and at just under 60% funded. So again, that's a great position to be in. We're slightly under 70% increase in in the contribution rate to just under or just over 3.1 million. We're currently doing 2. And our deterioration rate is 2.87. So we want to make sure we're above that annual deterioration rate, which is what we're recommending. And we also give the alternate contribution rate, which will keep you above 4.8 million in reserve. 30-year tables for that. And if you notice, we're taking a little bit of a longer time to get above 70% funded. This is more like 10 years to get above 70% funded for facilities. But notice we don't even have any dips. We're spending a lot of money in the next 4 or 5 years, but we're still growing and strengthening the fund. And we're doing here, and things are getting done. We're spending money. We're keeping our facilities looking nice, and we're keeping a high quality of life for our owners. Ultimately, this was all a very big, pleasant surprise for me. I was very excited to see that the community was a lot better funded than and there were it was all pleasant surprises for me. Everything's well maintained, everything's well run, and we have adequate cash going forward. So with that,
Is there anyone with any questions? Okay, Egon?
Yeah, on the last table you showed, what was that $10 million surprise there 15 years down the road?
I'd have to open up the full study. I just wanted to show you guys the general expenses. If you need to, you contact Jose. He can give you our table that can. But if you notice, they're there, and you're still very well protected. Not a problem.
Okay, so that will be explained in the full report, is that right? Or will be annotated?
Yeah. My pleasure.
So it doesn't show here, but I think that it's very interesting based upon the additional detailed information that I saw on your report, that it also showed in detail items that we have, our assets, and when the suggested time in order to replacement, that sort of thing. And I was really happy, to be able to see something in that detail that we would finance and also with M&C to basically, look at when we need replacement on certain items. I don't know. Do you have any comments on that, Jim?
No, I just want to make the point that, after 5 years or so, these are all estimates. And so to place any single importance on one item after 10 years or more would not be prudent. But it's great to see that over the years we have been providing for replacement, both in facilities and in equipment. The thing is, I think we did a wise thing in the trust facility fee. It has put us in a much better position moving forward. So that's it.
Well, the other thing is the fact that we changed the process in regards to the reserves in our dues. And so the dues used to reflect the difference based upon what was needed in that particular year. So it would fluctuate. One year would be 16, another year would be 12, and another year, it would be a different amount. So what Jim did was he created an average so that we are paying $17 and it's consistent through the years. So what that does is that helps us to build our reserves, for the future, but keep it consistent, and we don't have to be concerned with about the $17. It's just almost a given. And with that amount, it was determined that that amount per man or per month would cover us up to 50 years. Do we figure at 50 or?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all estimates, and that 17, anywhere between 17 to 19 would cover our contribution. We always have that leverage of the trust facilities fee also.
Right.
So we're in pretty good shape, is what I think what Sean was telling us. Real good shape, actually.
Thank you.
Very good shape.
So,
yeah, many of my communities that I work with would be very.
okay, Risa, did you?
Yeah, it's. I'm just wondering, this estimates or studies, what kind of impact of the recession and inflation have on this study as we go forward? Because we're looking at 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and we throw numbers around. These predictions, what impact the inflation and recession have on that, and what we have to think about as we go forward? Because the way that the economy is and the way that things happen, that's going to have significant impact on all of our assessment. So what is, I mean, I'm looking for some technical advice for.
Yeah. So one thing that so you're literally asking the $1 million question that all of my clients are asking. It is foremost on all of our minds. The inflation right now is something like most of us haven't seen since the 70s, obviously. So we do factor that in, and this is a snapshot in time. So when we update the study next year, we're going to look at what the real inflation was, and we're going to inflate the cost that much at that time. We have been tracking inflation in our office for the 30 plus years we've been in business, and we're comfortable long term with an average of 3%. But I agree that I think we need to keep an eye on it over the next 2 to 3 years until we get a lot of the supply chain issues straightened out. A lot of the monetary policy is straightening out now. They're increasing interest rates, so I think it'll cool down. But for the next couple of years, we're in an inflationary environment. So we're keeping an eye on that. We're making on our clients' costs in the reserve inflation. So we're definitely people is planning not going to stay the same. I know it's hard because especially in 55 plus communities, we're not wanting to increase fees at all because everybody's on fixed income. But if we hold that line too long, we're taking steps backwards with inflation. So I think over the next 4 or 5 years, I'm recommending to most of my clients get ready for increases in assessments to offset that inflation.
So your benchmark is about 3.5%? That's your benchmark?
Right.
Thanks.
Well, that's the average for 30 years. But when we're inflating, like because we have two mechanisms we use for inflation. We have our starting point, which is I've done my site inspection. I'm looking at the costs. I inflate all the costs that I'm updating right now at 10%. But I'm then telling the spreadsheet, but we're only for all of 30 years. Because if we build in 10% inflation, what we're seeing over the last 2 years, we're going to have really big problems with our economy. I just don't see that being the case. I think we're going to see it for about 2 to 3 years at the most. But I think you guys are well protected because if you guys were 5% funded, I'd be very scared. But you guys aren't.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Are there any?
So again, I want to reiterate exactly what Sean has already been talking about. The recommendation is that the contribution for our reserves does increase, and we're already factoring that in. That is increasing through the use of the transfer fee. So with home sales continuing to more than it has been, at least during the COVID years, and with all of those things in there, we're able to project a lot of income coming through the transfer fee. And therefore, the assessment portion is going to remain at $17, which it has been for the last few years. So all in all, it's great news for GRF. We're going to continue to fund the reserves, and assessments are going to stay constant. So it's a good thing.
Are there any more questions? So if there's no more questions, I want to thank Jose, I want to thank Jim, and I wanted to thank John for all the work, Sean, I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name, for the
okay.
presentation and the work that you provided. And I'm very pleased to hear that GRF is on track. So thank
I'm
you
pleased as
again.
well.
Yeah. All
My
right.
pleasure. Have a wonderful day. Good luck, everybody.
All right. Okay. So the next item on the agenda, we're into 12 and new business.
11C.
We already did 11C.
I'm sorry, 12A.
Okay, thank you. So 12A is entertain a motion to approve compliance ad hoc committee. So Joan, will you please read the resolution?
Resolution 90-22-XX, Compliance Ad Hoc Committee. Whereas the formation of a Compliance Ad Hoc Committee is being considered by the Board of Directors pursuant to Article 7, Section 7.1.2 and Section 7.5 of the bylaws of this corporation. And whereas the duties and responsibilities of the Compliance Ad Hoc Committee are to work with the Compliance Division and Recreation and Special Events Department to make recommendations to the board for approval or to report out on the following matters. 1, review the member disciplinary process to reflect new and updated operating policies, including but not limited to the interboard anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy, if adopted, internal dispute resolution policy, and various recreation and special events department policies, procedures, and rules. 2, review the schedule of monetary penalties to reflect new and updated operating policies, including but not limited to the interboard anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy, if adopted, internal dispute resolution policy, and various recreation and special events department policies, procedures, and rules. 3, review process for enforcement of safety protocols outlined in various recreation and special events department policies, procedures, and rules. 4, review compliance division investigative processes and verification. And 5, review resolutions granting mutuals authority to suspend GRF privileges such as cable, television, and internet services. Now, therefore, be it resolved, August 2nd, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the mission statement, duties, and responsibilities of the Compliance Ad Hoc Committee, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we accept this resolution.
We have a second? Is there any discussion?
Who seconded? I'm sorry, Reza.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay, Joan?
I know this is setting up the committee. Then do we need to know how the committee is going to be set up?
Yes, what we're doing, I really tried to have it part of this package, and I was told and advised, that we have to approve the committee for this particular ad hoc committee at the next board meeting. So what we need to do at this point in time is all those that are interested to be on this committee and I'm going to be the chair, okay? And so send an email, to me, or just let me know. And then next month, the committee members will be approved as part of the agenda.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
This is not on 28 days, so why do we have to wait till next month? We're going to approve this today.
Yeah, it's not a 28-day situation. Basically, once we approve the charter or the mission statement, and then the boards, the mutuals and GRF has an opportunity to review the people that want to be on that committee. And so we have to allow that time for the mutuals to respond to be part of this committee, and then it's approved at the following meeting.
President Carpenter, you would be approving the composition under the committee appointment resolution at the next meeting.
Right.
To clarify the matter. This would be approved today.
Yeah, but this we can approve today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Diane, would you like to come up and speak?
So this is a committee that would involve United?
Oh, yes.
Right.
2 members from United, 2 members from Third. We invite you to be part of this committee.
Okay, so then we meet next week. So would that be something I should get in our
That can be discussed at that time at the meeting as to who United is going to recommend being on the committee.
Great. Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? Are there any objections? Oh, okay, Francis, all right.
Madam President, I just want to clarify because this committee is going to focus only on GRF items. And this committee is separate from, no, I'm sorry, you're right. One of the items does include the joint committee that would involve United and Third. So my apologies. I just answered my own question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? Are there any objections? If there are no objections, the motion to approve the Compliance Ad Hoc Committee is approved without objection. So thank you very much. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve Aqueducts, the exception to GRF poster policy for the September Aqueducts Aqua Folly show. So do you want to entertain the motion?
I think we need to read the request so that we're sure what we're approving. So it's recommended to authorize an exception to the GRF poster policy for the September Aqueducts Aqua Follies show at Pool 1. And regarding that, clubhouse bulletin boards only allow advertising with posters for events held at performing arts centers or Clubhouse 5. The Aqueducts are requesting an exception to the GRF policy to place one poster at the following facilities from August 8th through September 8th, 2022. So they would include Clubhouse 1, Clubhouse 2, the Performing Arts Center, Clubhouse 4, Clubhouse 5, the Recreation Office, and the 19 Restaurant and Lounge. The upcoming show will be held on September 8th, 9th, and 10th of 2022, and the dimensions of the posters are all 11 by 17 inches and will be advertised for 32 days prior to the event. And you can see the exceptions, but normally it's 60 days and they don't have to do that. This is their request. So I move that we accept their request for the exception to the GRF poster policy.
You seconding it? Okay. Is there any discussion? Juanita?
I would like to suggest that we recommend to the CAC that this poster policy be reviewed and updated to include more than the Performing Arts Center and Clubhouse 5.
Thank you. We can take a look at that. I agree with you because I know there's other exceptions.
We do have events in other places.
Right, and there will be other situations where that we have exceptions to the policy. So, yeah. So at this point in time, is there any other questions in regards to this request? So if there are no objections, the motion to approve the authorization on exception to GRF poster policy for the September Aqueducts, Aqua Follies show is approved without objection. So thank you. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve tennis center operating rules. And we will have a 28-day opportunity to review and comments to comply with 4360. So Joan, please read.
I'll read the rest. Okay.
Please read the resolution.
Resolution 90-22-XX, Tennis Center Operating Rules. Whereas the board has set policies and operating rules for usage of GRF facilities, and whereas the Recreation Special Events Department oversees the use of facilities, and whereas the department is responsible for ensuring that safety and compliance procedures are followed, protect facilities, and enforce policy and operating rules, and whereas the proposed amendments improve the understandability of the policies and procedures and facilitates implementation by staff, and whereas on May 12, 2022, the Community Activities Committee approved the amended tennis center operating rules. Now, therefore, be it resolved September 6, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the amended tennis center operating rules, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we accept the tennis center operating rules for discussion purposes and postpone our final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
Okay, thank you. So we've
Second.
Oh, do we have a second?
Yvonne. Okay,
Yvonne?
thank you.
Okay. So at this point in time, as part of the discussion, Brian, did this come from your department? Did these
No, it did
suggestions
not. No,
come
that
from?
came from one of the tennis club members. Not actually the tennis club members, one of the tennis players, and she submitted it this morning, I believe, to Michaela for member comments.
Yes, that's correct. So she submitted it and she sent an email just.
Who submitted it?
Her name is Teresa Kennedy.
Okay. The problem is that we have not been able to really absorb these changes and consider it. So I don't know if, and this is why I was asking Brian is if he's reviewed this and would he recommend, based upon all our discussions with the tennis club, should we accept it? Would you recommend that we accept it?
I did not have a chance to thoroughly review these recommendations as they were presented this morning via email. So during this meeting, this is the first time that I've actually had a chance to kind of take a look at them. A lot of these are, adjustments, like, for example, the ones highlighted in yellow would be deletions from the current policy that was approved by the CAC. And then the others are more just verbiage adjustments, just so it's more clear in regards to what the policy is stating. I don't know if the 28 review, if we can take the time to take a look at these and maybe bring them up at the next meeting and incorporate them, if that's an option or not. But that would be my recommendation if that's a possibility.
Okay, what do you think, Joan?
Well, what we just received today were the amendments, 2 of them. And we haven't had time to look at it either. So I would suggest that Recreation go over it and make their recommendations next time as to whether you accept this or not, and we postpone it again. That's my suggestion. Now, you don't have to go along with it, but there are others that may agree.
Okay, Elsie?
It's Anita.
Pardon?
Anita.
I didn't see Elsie. Oh.
That was just a little joke.
I apologize.
No,
Elsie.
it was, come on, I'm just teasing. I agree with what Joan's saying, but I would take it one little step further, that these corrections or suggestions, I won't say corrections, but these suggestions don't seem to me, even if they were accepted wholesale, they don't change. It's not a substantial change is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't believe. But better minds than mine can make that decision, I suppose. But that's what I would suggest would be if they take a look at it. And I had one little thing. They caught the one thing I caught. Well, I caught two things, but they already caught them. Darn it. So, and they're just little revisions. They're not even revisions. They're corrections.
They're more addition, they're editing, is what you're saying.
I mean, that's exactly. So I would suggest we put it on 28 days. And if in fact this turns out to be no more than editing, it doesn't look like it to me. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not substantial.
Okay.
For 28-day purposes. That's
Right.
what I think. I'm sorry.
I see. I just glanced at it hurriedly and I thought, oh my gosh, all that red.
Right.
And I didn't really read it. So, but reading it, you're right. It just seems to be more minor changes that recreation could work through by next time. So the 28 days should be enough.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to make the comment that we could also, since these are operating rules and they're constantly always under review and adjustments, that we can go ahead and approve the operating rules as is, and then as we bring additional operating rules, let's say a month or 2 or 3 months down the road, then we can include these changes. These are minor changes. There's not a whole lot of impact on the operating rules as they are presented. Even if these were adopted, there's not too much of an impact.
Okay, Siobhan.
To clarify Brian's comments, all the board is being asked today is to introduce the operating rules for 28-day comment.
Okay, thank you.
Not approval.
And this is right, I know.
You're right.
Okay, Don, did you have?
Yeah, who did these come from?
It came from, would you repeat that again?
The name is Teresa Kennedy, Manor 5529B as in boy.
She's a tennis player. Okay. But she's
Just
to clarify.
Problems over there, I'm aware of that. And I would like to see something come from staff before we make some kind of vote on this.
Okay, Siobhan?
I would recommend that the board go ahead and introduce the rules today. Recreation will review the attachment that was just provided, and if there's any input, they will report back to the board at the next meeting.
Okay, I agree. I can tell you, or Yvonne can tell you, how many times that we have met with the tennis club to come to a conclusion as to what is reasonable as far as these operating rules. And it is true that the biggest feedback that we got from the tennis club was that they really didn't want the reservation system. And so these rules include, the process basically for the reservation system. And just to give you a little bit of background, there was a survey based upon, a 6-month review of the reservation system. And at the end of that 6 months, the reports that we got from Recreation basically said that there were 1,000 people that had signed up for this reservation system. And so we wanted to make sure that it was fair to everybody. And so what the rules basically say is is it 2 or 3 courts? 3 courts for the reservation system. Is it 3? It's 3, right?
It's 3 courts, yes.
And then 7 courts, for those who would prefer to enjoy the whiteboard system. So hopefully, and you're absolutely right, Don, but I have to tell you that that CAC, Brian, and myself have been very involved in trying to get an acceptable, agreement between the clubs and GRF in order to go forward with these tennis rules. So, Risa.
Yeah, I'm okay with going on 28 days, but at the 28 days when it's come back, I just don't want the staff saying it's okay. I want CAC to endorse it. Any changes. The CAC, the CAC. Yeah, you guys.
So we don't.
The committee.
We don't want to send it back to committee.
No, not sending back to the committee. The committee have to endorse it because there are changes, and they are intimately involved with all of these things. And
Yeah, but these are mostly cosmetic changes. I'm
what
sorry.
you guys tell us at the 28 days that you're okay with it, I'm okay. I just want to make sure that you guys are okay. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate it.
Oh, you're
Okay.
welcome.
Are there any additional comments, and are we ready to vote on this?
Yes, let's vote.
Okay, thank you. We are anxious on this one. Okay, so are there any objections to the approval of the tennis court center operating rules and put it on the 28-day review? There are no objections. So the motion to approve the tennis court operating rules passes without objection. Thank you. We're gonna go have a celebration afterwards. Okay. So, all right, so the next one is to entertain a motion to approve garden center operating rules, and this will also be on the 28-day review. Okay, so.
Resolution 90-22-XX, Garden Center Operating Rules. Whereas the board has set policies and operating rules for usage of GRF facilities, and whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department oversees the use of facilities, and whereas the department is responsible for ensuring that safety and compliance procedures are followed, protect facilities, and enforce policy and operating rules. And whereas the proposed amendments improve the understandability of the policies and procedures and facilitates implementation by staff. And whereas on June 9th, 2022, the Community Activities Committee approved the amended Garden Center operating rules. And whereas that this resolution supersedes and cancels Resolution 90-16-55 adopted December 6, 2016. Now, therefore, be it resolved September 6, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the amended Garden Center operating rules, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move we approve the Garden Center operating rules for discussion purposes at this time and postpone the final vote 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
Second.
Yvonne, or somebody.
Is there any discussion?
Skillman.
Uh-oh. Okay. First, Yvonne.
I don't know what else he has to say. I want to say the Recreation Department and Brian Gruner in particular must have the patience of Job to get this stuff written and get it on 28 days. Thank you.
All right, Elsie.
And I want to repeat exactly what my friend Edna said, but my chairman, I'm having so much fun with this. Anyway, there's a surprise. Couple of little teeny-weeny things, but they're just like cosmetic. So is it okay if I just zip you a little? Is that okay if I just zip him a little email? Yeah. It shouldn't interfere with this. It's just Scrivener's.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, good. Then I'm ready.
All right. Yes, your hand is raised?
Yes, we had a William Fisher email in for this item, if it's okay if I could read his email.
Okay.
Okay, so again, his name's William Fisher, and his manner is 5541A.
Okay.
He stated, Honorable Golden Rain Foundation board members, today you have before you an agenda item 12D from the CAC to approve new garden center operating rules. These rules are not ready for approval. About 40 of the 80 rules proposed still could be improved. Some are very minor improvements. Some are, wow, what does this really mean? Or are you kidding me? Or the rule says exactly the opposite of what should be said. These potential improvements have been brought to the attention of your GRF and CAC leadership more than once. Sadly, they've been largely ignored. VMS management is also aware of these deficiencies. These rules could be a huge problem for the garden center staff. They are required to enforce said operating rules once the violations are known to them. It seems appropriate that if you and the staff require compliance with rules that cannot be accomplished or are not reasonable, we can demand enforcement of those same rules. Just one at all times rule on the weed-free requirement alone will cause almost every garden/tree plot to be out of compliance weekly or daily. Then we have debris-free, which includes fallen leaves and flowers. Next Thursday at noon, come visit my plot, and I might be in compliance if you give me notice. As you can see, if enforcement is applied uniformly, staff will be overwhelmed. This could be the solution. The reformation of the Garden Center Advisory Committee has been asked for more than once. It would represent the users of more than 1,100 garden/tree plots. Such a committee could have helped avoid these poorly written rules. I am not sure if the Equestrian Center is run well, but they have a standing ad hoc committee representing about 30 horses and their owners/users. Why do 30 horses and their owners get better treatment? Why are gardeners rejected? Please ask for and get a better set of operating rules to approve. Please consider the reformation of a Garden Center Advisory Committee. And that is all from the resident.
So I will comment on that. I also received that information from this gentleman, and Brian has met with this person in regards to his suggestions. He basically listened to his suggestions and also incorporated into the garden center rules what is applicable, okay? I feel that these garden center rules are very important, and I think everybody needs to understand that the origination of these garden center rules took place when John Parker and Sue Margolis was the garden club president, and so they developed these operating rules. And so I just want it completely understood, because there's a lot of rumors that go around that GRF and CAC just took it upon themselves to go ahead and to write and create operating rules. We don't do that, as board members. We don't do that. And so, yes, what he says in regards to having an ad hoc committee, for the garden center, and the reason that this suggestion is not a good suggestion is because we do not establish ad hoc committees to manage a facility. We leave the management of the facility based upon, recreation has provided an employee, and together they manage that facility. And so I feel that the request, to have an ad hoc committee, just basically to manage that facility is not appropriate. And I understand years and years ago when PCM was around that they had these advisory committees, and it has not proven to be effective, in today's world. So again, my recommendation would be that his request be denied. And I also recommend that the garden center rules be approved. We have gone over them over and over again, and I can't tell you, Brian can speak, he can talk about how many times he has met with different people in the garden center to be able to come to an agreement as to what is reasonable. Realizing that a lot of the pushback is basically because there were so many that were out of compliance. And so we pass these rules, and we understand that it may take them a while to come in compliance. But there is no reason to think that we won't have a reasonable time and work with these people in order to have them come in compliance. So Elsie?
Thank you, Madam President. And also, I want to emphasize that the vast body of these rules have been in effect for many, many years.
Right.
There's really not that much different. And so it's not like these staff or us or anybody else has gone in and just rewritten all the rules. They've been in effect for a really long time, and the lack of compliance came about when those same rules were in effect, and I don't want, it's okay. This is now, it's time to go ahead. So I echo your sentiments very much. Thank you.
So I just, some particular problems that they had, one was based upon height, that they could do, certain plants. Was it plants or trees, Yvonne? There were vines. Okay. So there were adjustments made so that the garden centers would comply, and that we adjust basically to some of their needs. So there were adjustments that were made in here, and also basically the rules consist of making the rules clearer. Okay, Reza.
Yeah, this is going for 28 days comment and review, so people can make a comment and review. We don't have to decide today
Right.
that something going to be rejected. Let people make their comments, and then we review it after the 28 days when all of the comments are in. So the
Okay.
individual that have comment might have 200 other people that say no, rather than we decide right now that we don't want to accept it or not accept it.
Right, thank you. All right. Are there any other comments? Because I'd love to get this passed. All right. Are there any objections? If there are no objections, the motion to approve garden center operating rules and put on 28-day review is approved without objection. Thank you, everybody. All right. The next item is to entertain a motion to approve donation agreement between GRF and Clubhouse 4 Woodshop supervisors. So, Joe?
Resolution 90-22 between GRF and Clubhouse 4 Woodshop supervisors. This agreement entered into this second day of August 2022, the date's wrong, okay, is by and between the Golden Rain Foundation, GRF, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, and Clubhouse 4 Woodshop supervisors, known as Donor, who donated a used lathe machine for use in the Clubhouse 4 Woodshop. Whereas GRF and Donor recognize the importance of community facilities and amenities, and whereas GRF and Donor acknowledge the benefit of donations when they have a purpose consistent with GRF goals and are in the best interest of Laguna Woods Village, and whereas the donor has offered to donate a used lathe machine for use in the Clubhouse 4 Woodshop. And whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department Director or Financial Services Director reviewed and a donation meets the criteria for acceptance contained in the GRF donation policy, which are A, they meet a true need of the facility, B, future use of the facility, and C, does not require the relocation of other equipment or infrastructure to accommodate the donation. Now therefore be it resolved, August 2nd, 2022, that GRF and donor, in accordance with the described conditions and obligations hereinafter set forth, and agree as follows. Section 1. The donation known as a used lathe machine for use in the Clubhouse 4 wood shop, described below, is donated in its entirety to GRF, hereafter owned by GRF and managed on behalf of the residents of Laguna Woods Village by Village Management Services, Inc., VMS. Section 2, donation description, a used lathe machine. Please put a period there and delete the following words. For use in the Clubhouse 4 Woodshop Space Facility Equestrian Center. Delete the next line and the last few words. Then go to location, Clubhouse 4 Woodshop. So it should read, donation description, a used lathe machine, location, Clubhouse 4 Woodshop. Okay. Section 3, amount of donation. Item cost, $500. Installation cost, 0. Maintenance cost, 0. Total estimated donation, $500. Section 4, GRF reserves the right to move, or remove, and or retire the donation following cessation of the 5-year period. The term shall commence upon the date entered into and indicated above. Section 5, GRF will not replace the donation or community space improvement if it is stolen, vandalized, worn out, irreparably damaged, destroyed, or expires. Section 6, installation and maintenance. GRF shall be responsible for installation and maintenance of the item, including any reasonable repairs. Section 7, term. The term of this agreement is a minimum of 5 years or beyond if applicable. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move we accept this donation of the lathe to the wood shop in Clubhouse 4.
I second that.
Second?
Who second? Elsie?
Okay. There were several people that raised their hand. Okay, that's fine. Is there any discussion?
I just want to be sure the edit was understood.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Michaela.
Paul has the resolution up in front of him. Were you able
Paul.
to get it?
Paul, did you get the,
No.
the edit on section 2, down at the bottom of the page?
No, I did not get the edit on that.
And the date at the top should have been
I got the date at the top. It should be the 2nd of
August.
day
of August,
June.
Of August,
Of
not
August,
June.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. That's all.
Okay. Are there any more comments? So, are there any objections? So the motion to approve the donation agreement between GRF and Clubhouse 4 wood shop supervisors with correction is approved without objection. All right, thank you. So we've already had our break. Unless anyone still wants a break, we will go forward with the committee reports.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody agrees. So the next item would be a report for Finance Committee. Director Hopkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me, we've got the first chart up already. That's quick. So I'll start with, again, the first chart. This chart includes all revenues, including those designated for reserves, including investment income, the transfer facilities fee, and the GRF reserve portion of HOA fees. It also includes the contingency portion of our HOA fees. So through the reporting period, through June 30th, 2022, GRF had a net revenue of $2,566,000 with a total revenue of $23,923,000, excuse me, and a total expense of $21,357,000. GRF was better than budget by $1,292,000, with total expenses coming in at $1,847,000, better than anticipated. The favorable results seen in expenses were partially offset by lower revenues of $550,000, and these revenues are significantly impacted by unrealized investment losses this year. Slide 2, please. The next chart displays the operating fund, which does not include the non-operating revenues I mentioned before, and is also without depreciation. The report shows a favorable variance of $1,636,000 through the reporting period, with expense better than budget by $1,842,000, offset by revenue worse than budget by $206,000. The operating fund is the largest impact on our HOA fees, and we are performing quite well in this respect. The next slide, please. Okay. Now, this slide reflects the value of our portfolio since inception, and we'll notice that since inception, we've lost $570,000 on the portfolio, or a 3% loss. The current year loss, however, is $1,069,000. Again, this is a non-cash loss or commonly called unrealized loss, which we would not realize unless and until we had to actually sell the investments. Next page, please. Now, this reflects the total portfolio or net of about $32 million. I'm sorry, total reserves of about $32 million. The portfolio value is $18,500,000, with cash and non-holding almost $14 million. What it says here is, just as Sean Anderson said, we've got an extremely good cash position, and so that even though our portfolio is not performing as we desired, it is a long-term portfolio position, and we are well situated in our cash position to be able to withstand the expenditures that we have in front of us for reserves. Next page, please. Okay. Now this next chart shows reserve and restricted revenues and expenditures. And this shows that our net revenue for restricted and reserved income is $350,000 better than planned. Next page, please. Now, this slide 6 really reflects the operating fund, which I mentioned earlier has a direct impact on HOA fees. Operating variances by category, with the green bars representing favorable variances and orange bars representing unfavorable variances. Overall, we had favorable variances in employee compensation and a related variance of $1,100,000, primarily due to vacancies in the general services for bus drivers and janitorial positions. In addition, Recreation has 34 unfilled positions, resulting in clubhouse closures and limited hours open to members. Security services and maintenance construction vacancies also continue to the variance. Recruitment is in process for these vacant positions. Okay. Outside services has a variance of $327,000 due to underutilized evening janitorial services as clubhouses remain closed and open only for limited hours. We also had less vehicle repairs and car washes as a result of the number of vacancies that we have. In addition, annual town hall center dues were budgeted for full in April, but are paid quarterly. And lower lift usage, and we had lower lift usage than anticipated. Also, other operating expenses are $138,000 positive variance due to less supplies needed since the open positions means less use of these facilities as well as services. Also, less supplies are being used throughout the clubhouses as a result of the stockpile created during COVID-19 closures and the current partial closures. Thus, various tools and workshop equipment in the ceramics and lapidary tools have not required replacement. In addition, the cost for streets and sidewalks programs such as chain link fences and etc. Have not been employed this year. They will be occurring later this year, so this is a timing issue. The unfavorable variances are in the broadband revenue. It's $295,000. Again, that's due to lower high-speed internet revenue than anticipated, and also ad insertion as a result of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The utilities and telephone had an unfavorable variance of $130,000 due to higher water expense, which was $95,000 higher than anticipated, or 34% higher, primarily for golf course as a result of the 76% less rainfall than the 3-year average used in the budget. The rising gas costs, which were 42% higher, or $63,000, affecting the recreation department and clubhouses due to the pools, heating the pools during this period of time. Electric rates have also increased by more than expected. Slide 7, please. Okay. This slide shows our sources of revenue other than assessments, such as fees and rentals. To date, we have received just under $4,870,000 in non-assessment revenue. By category, we can see that our biggest revenue is broadband services at $2,602,000, or 53% of the revenue, followed by golf revenues at $1,108,000, or 23%, and then merchandise sales at $336,000. Clubhouse rentals and event fees are close behind at $290,000. Other revenue, which includes additional occupancy fees, equestrian fees, fees for classes, sponsorship fees, etc., amount to about 14%. The revenues on this chart are important as to how the community shares the cost of our amenities, and the changing market conditions and costs will continue to be important factors in considering these fees. Next slide, please. This chart shows, as usual, our biggest operating expense is compensation, followed by cable and programming expense. Of the $18.7 million, excluding depreciation, these two categories account for 73% of the total operating expense. Insurance, professional and legal fees, and utilities, fuel and utilities, outside services make up the remaining 27%. If you consider that cable and programming are offset by broadband revenue, then compensation and outside services account for 77% of the adjusted expense, while insurance, utilities drive over 15% of the adjusted expense. That's 92% in total. Next chart, please. Okay. The reserve and restricted funds adjusted balances are shown here. Starting with the first column on the left, the reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $33.2 million. Restricted fund balances have an ending balance of 2.6. The second column shows the work in process of about $2 million for the reserve and $43,000 for restricted, reflecting the amounts paid for projects in process but not yet completed. The third column represents the resulting adjusted fund balance of $131 million for the reserve and 2.5 for the restricted. Next chart, please. This chart shows that the resale history from 2020 through 2022. The community-wide sales of 525 units through June 30th show an increase of 73% and 15% over 2020 and 2021, respectively. The June and July 2021 to 2022 monthly trends show a declining trend. If you look at May and June, you'll find that it's a little bit lower than the May and June of the previous year. So that's the declining trend that we're seeing. Next slide, please. Now this is a listing that gives you an idea of what the reserve money, where the reserve money is committed. As you can see, there's quite of the $13 million of appropriations outstanding. The remaining encumbrance is about $10 million. With restricted funds of the total appropriations of $150,000, the remaining encumbrance is $100,000. Okay, next slide. Now, when we compare our adjusted fund balances to our historical balances for the past 5 years, it shows that we have averaged $25 million in reserve funds. Our current gross balance is $32 million, and our contingency fund is $2.5 million. And that concludes the report. Any questions, comments? Thank you, Madam Chair.
No other questions? Okay, so we shall move on. Debbie's not here to report on the Strategic Planning Committee, but I'm going to get together with her and see how we are going to move forward on that particular committee. So the next report would be from Community Activities Committee, Director Horton.
Oh, thank you, Madam President. Under the guise of keeping things short, last month's CAC meeting was more amicable than most. The tennis club still objects to the reservation system. The July 4th event was a roaring success, I might add. It was reported last month that Clubhouse 3, or the PAC, the renovations would be completed in 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm hoping that's so. Also, the Recreation Department is working with various musical groups to find a suitable place for a rehearsal hall. And that concludes my report. The next meeting is August 11th at 1:30 in the boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next is the report of Landscape Committee, Director Skillman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We did not meet in July, so our last meeting was in June, and our, excuse me, our next meeting will be in September. We meet quarterly. As the Landscape Committee, we also kind of function as the Water Committee or Water Conservation Committee. And so I can announce that our water rates are going up in Tier 1. There was a decrease in Tiers 3 and 4. But in Tier 1, which is what most of us use, there was a slight increase. Also, the Master Control Irrigation System that we all approved. The final bids came in slightly lower than what we had thought, and the company WeatherTech is going to hold their bid prices as quoted for the life of the project. Now, this is great because there's been recent 20% increase in equipment costs, and the fact that we have gotten them to hold that price for us till the end of the project, which is the end of next year, is a really good sign. The other thing that we talked about was village tree signing. A lot of people would like to see more of the tree signing, but the tree signing that was done many years ago by the Audubon Club, where they hammered nails into the tree trunk with signs, it's not a healthy option. It has actually killed some of our trees. So the other thing on trees I just wanted to mention was that the History Center has come up with 3 marvelous brochures on our trees. There's the Aliso Creek, there's the Serpentine Walk, and the Friendship Walk. And these are available either at the History Center or we also have them at the Village Library. And they tell you about each tree and they walk you through the walk. And it's really interesting. And for most of us that do and there's a lot of walking, it really helps. The other thing I just wanted to mention was a subject was brought up at one of the mutual meetings that we were developing Garden Center 3. We are not developing Garden Center 3. Back in 2015, there was some talk of that, and there was an appropriation, but it was done away with, and it is out, and that land is there, but it is not developed, and it is not going to be Garden Center 3 with 150 new garden plots.
So I do want to ask a question. Was there any kind of construction work that was going on in regard to the Garden Center 3? Okay. Yes, but I am familiar with that situation. And the reason I am is both Juanita and myself were on that committee when John Parker, Sue, and all of that was reviewing the garden centers and the processes and the operating rules and the plots, and they did a wonderful job in being able to handle all of the people that were on the waiting list. So at that time, GRF said, we do not need to spend $3 million on a new garden center. And so I was really surprised when I heard that this was brought up and said that GRF was going to, build a new garden center. So at this point in time, no.
Just
I
want to
don't
let
see
everybody
this
know
as
it's not true.
Right. So I appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Unless Third wants to build it.
Yeah. All right, so the next item is the report of the Maintenance and Construction Committee, Director Garth Hoffner.
Well, we did not have a meeting. We did have a workshop on July the 15th. And mostly what we discussed at that is we went over at some length about the Building E replacement. And we also discussed some issues with respect to EV charging, and we're waiting for Bart to set up a meeting where we'll meet with the SCE representatives so we can discuss some of the problems and what the feelings we have about EV charging. And we discussed an interesting water intrusion problem which really happened in the third Garden Villa buildings. But it was brought up because it was brought up by me because I live in that center, and I tried to get something started with respect to stopping a water intrusion problem that seems to be possibly ongoing. And so we discussed that, but then it was handed off to M&C committee for third. And that's it. And our next meeting is going to be August the 10th.
Excuse me, thank you. Okay, do you have anything to report on the clubhouse renovation ad hoc?
No.
Okay, thank you.
There was no meeting, but we signed the agreement on June 29th, which was before our last GRF meeting, so we already covered that.
Okay.
We signed the contract.
Okay, so you'll be ready to work with them in,
Yes.
okay, but we don't have
It
a
has to go
timeframe.
through whatever legal stuff has to go.
Okay.
And as soon as we can meet with them, we'll tour Clubhouse 2 and Clubhouse 3 so they can get a feeling for what was done in the past, and then we'll go on with the Clubhouse 1 work.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is report of the Media and Communications Committee. Director Millman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Media and Communications Committee met Monday, July 18th, and we discussed the following. Our report, first of all, from Media and Communications from Eileen, included the June-July 2022 Village Breeze Club, 4th of July and Equestrian Center events, water use and Eileen's visit to the El Toro Water District, the organic waste recycling and clipping pickup service. So reminding people that to keep their clippings out of the organic waste. And finally, new resident orientations and docent tours are continuing and increasing each time. As far as the website ad hoc committee is concerned, our next meeting will be August 10th. And that meeting is coming up pretty soon. And the employees who are surveyed about the website are meeting their needs as end users are submitting their feedback, and we will continue that meeting. The next was the Broadband Services report. Again, Ms. Paulin gave a report regarding subscriber counts, which are increasing, and meeting attendance and programming fees. One thing that came up was the fact that the trend towards internet speeds, towards higher internet speeds, suggests that the transition to streaming might be coming upon us a little sooner than expected. So we're working with the broadband group to work out how to get fiber from the vault into each unit. Ms. Paulin mentioned that there's a recording of the meeting that she and the staff had with the broadband group, which will be broadcast to the Broadband Ad Hoc Committee, and we'll let you know as soon as that appears. And then the last thing was, that was it. That was the last thing. Our next meeting will be Monday, August 15th at 1:30 here in the boardroom and on Zoom.
So will you continue with the website ad hoc?
I just gave it.
Oh, you did it? I apologize.
I included the website in this.
Okay.
So our meeting for the website committee will be August 10th.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item, we report of the Mobile Vehicles Committee, Director Tibbetts. He's also the chair for Security Community Access Committee, so I'm asking him to just continue on both reports.
Okay, well, I'd be glad to. Mobility and vehicles, we did not have a meeting. Our next meeting will be tomorrow at 1:30 in this room. In security and community access, Chief Eric Nunes reviewed different items that have been going on. The major item, I guess, is we had 8 golf carts stolen. 3 of them have been recovered. I don't think they have a suspect. That's all I know about it. We do have a problem with adult residents, residents with adult children coming in, and many times they are stopped by security because they're caught wandering around the village and in the carports. As far as incidents in the homes by residents, the number one concern continues to be falls. They trip and fall, and they have to call security for help. the new item I wanted to report is the bicycle signage in Aliso Creek area. There is no bicycle riding down there, and also there is no bicycle riding on the sidewalks. And people don't seem to remember that, and it is dangerous. We're getting more and more riders as time goes by. And that's the end of the report. Our next meeting will be August 22nd at 1:30 in the boardroom. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
I just got an email, and it's about there was a shooting over on Mariposa. That's what it says, and it's the Crime Weekly report. Do you know anything about that?
No, I haven't heard a thing about that, no.
Okay.
And where was that, on Mariposa?
Yeah, it's what it says, Mariposa, 7/31. Mariposa. I mean, the date, 7/31.
I have not heard a thing.
It just says shooting. I just want to know.
Shooting?
Who was shooting? Was it you? Okay, I just asked. Okay, we'll have to check with Eric, apparently.
I'll follow through on that. I'm curious.
Yeah,
That's the end of my report.
Yeah.
I'm sure Siobhan is following up on that because I don't think she was aware of it either. Okay.
Well, I might mention, though, that we did have, I have a hard time seeing this because I brought the wrong glasses. These don't have reading lenses in them. So anyway, the shepherd crooks have really been helpful, and it's getting better. We've had 8 incidents of people coming over the fences, but that's a lot lower than we've had in the past, and it's going to continue getting lower. So the shepherd crooks have really been a great help. That's all I have that you'd be interested in, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
So the next report is Disaster Preparedness Task Force, Director Skillman. You missed it here. That was not supposed to be, that was supposed to be Elsie?
No, the traffic.
Okay, I don't want.
I need to not want.
I'm going to have to
This is-
treat
this is
Elsie
your-
out for lunch, I think.
Yeah, this is your traffic reporter, Anita Skillman. And I'd like to report on the Laguna Woods traffic hearings. We did not, the last meeting was actually held in June. And in July, I guess everybody's either getting really honest or they just pay their money quicker because we didn't have any people that wanted a hearing, so we didn't have any July traffic hearing. And the next one will be, so July was canceled, and the next one will be August 17th at 9 a.m. in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsie.
Now it's my turn.
Okay.
The
Stone.
Disaster Preparedness Task Force did meet on July 26th, and we also had our radio drill with only one person not reporting in. The big thing that came out of that is that we really need more good neighbor building captains. We have less than 100, and that's not enough for this village. So we talked a lot about how we could recruit more building captains, and I would love to hear anybody's suggestions. We've tried being at the various bazaars, et cetera, with a table and gotten good interest, but not people who sign up. So we really, really need more building captains. And our next meeting is in September 27th at 9:30.
Okay, thank you. You have a question?
No, just a suggestion, Juanita. I'm wondering if it would help to have meetings at least the 3-story buildings that aren't participating of people from the disaster committee. Just one or two to
Okay,
let
that was
them
one of
know
the
and get them-
suggestions. We also had a suggestion because they want a meeting of the clubhouse coordinators.
Okay.
And then we thought we give the clubhouse coordinators a map showing what their area is. And then they could have a meeting just at each clubhouse of their area and try to get interested people in. So there were a lot of good ideas that came forth, but we don't have any concrete plans yet to announce.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Diane? Okay.
That, I attended the third open town hall, and they did bring up that a lot of new people that move in don't get instructions on what the procedures are, how to, do the trash and the laundry, and so it was mentioned that they should have the team, or the team captain, or whatever you're calling them, good neighbor captain, help with that. So it could be a good way to get people interested in becoming one.
We've been pretty successful in the 3-story buildings in getting, because they have building captains that have assumed the duties of the good neighbor captains for disaster preparedness. But we have a terrible time with the rest of the community.
Okay, thank you.
One other thing.
Is there am I missing anybody? You'd like to speak?
Just quick, one other thing for new residents. There is the new resident orientations.
Right.
But maybe that's too overwhelming. They need to have something more specific. In some ways. Yeah, okay.
They mentioned that a lot of times they speak a different language, or they,
Okay, I'll work on it. Communications. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next item is Information Technology Advisory Committee. It'd be Director Hopkins, and I can tell you that his report is going to be very important because he's going to give you an update basically on where we're at with the ERP system.
Yep,
That's
what you got. And before I start that, Madam Chair, if I may, let me just add an addendum to my finance report. Our next meeting is August 17th. At that time, regularly scheduled is our investment advisor. I know there's been a lot of discussion and around our investments. And at that time, we will welcome anyone to come and question our investment advisor and see what's going on. I'm interested myself, and so.
And Jim, you said at the next finance meeting?
That's the next finance meeting.
Okay,
it's an
thank
open
you.
meeting. That part's open. And so we will have Dan Quirk, or at least he's scheduled, Dan Quirk from Sageview is going to be here.
Is he coming in person?
Yes. Well, no, I don't know. No, he's not coming in person.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Now, do we have charts for the ITAC? Great. There we go. The first chart. All right, the green chart. Let's go to the green chart. This first chart is. Can you make that a little larger? Okay. The first chart here is just kind of a reminder of the scope and time frame regarding the project, which is really involves a major review of all of our processes and an attempt to employ the best practices in a paperless, digital, cloud-based solution. We started with accounting, all right, and then the plan is to move towards field services, inventory, and asset management. And then sometime in 2024, phase 3 will be resident services and resales. And the reason we start with accounting is because that's kind of the last leg, and they receive all the information and all the bits and pieces. And so you start with the last leg so that you start to plan from the end and back into the beginning, so to speak. So that's one of the reasons we did that. I know there's been some discussion of why didn't we start with this first, that first, but this is a rewrite of all of our processes. This is not just plugging in a piece of software. This is a huge implementation. Next chart, please. Okay. And I won't go through all the details, but after 2 months of planning, from April to June, we kicked off the project on May 30th. Currently, we are in the analysis phase. And if you look at the phase, we went through the readiness phase, then we kicked it off, and now we're in the analysis phase. We've had project kickoff meetings with staff, mainly accounting and finance staff, and they're going through what they call a fit gap analysis. The fit gap analysis says what within our current software or current processes fit with the new software plan, and where are there gaps in both process and software. And so that analysis is an ongoing analysis and will actually be applied to each one of the phases. And then somewhere in August, we'll start to implement. And once we start that, there will be a complete, there will be design workshops. Again, staff will be participating in that. And by the way, any one of our board members are invited to attend any one of the workshops. There are dozens of workshops happening practically every day that staff is attending while actually supporting us at the same time. So there's a lot of work involved in this process. And we're just seeing the surface of it when we see it. I said somewhere in October, we'll start to go through the test and deploy phase. That is essentially where we start to test the applications, the processes associated with the accounting, go through some end user training, and prepare to go live, where we'll have some mock go live exercises. We'll have updates on our readiness. And then somewhere in May 23, from the accounting and finance perspective, we plan to go into operation with that, as well as start the next phase, which again would be the assets and field services. So next chart, please. This is just kind of a repeat of the timeline that we've been through. I won't go through this in detail, but as you can see, there's a lot to it. From the accounts payable, general ledger, fixed assets, accounts receivable. All of this is Greek to a lot of us, but to us nerdy accountants, and it means a lot. The banking projects, all of the things that are associated with it. We kind of wrap up ITAC in terms of a broad brush, but there's a lot of details. Like anything else, there's a lot of details associated with it. And next chart, please. This just carries on the whole where we have been and where we are, and so the bottom line to all of this is, and there's other charts, and I won't go through those, but the bottom line to all of this, there's a lot of detail associated with this. This is a rewrite again of all of our software as well as our process. We're moving towards we're striving towards a totally digital process. Zero paperwork. We know that's kind of impossible, but if we don't try to get there, we'll never get there. So that's the goal, so that's where we are. That's what ITAC is all about. We're starting to move towards monthly meetings and updates from a weekly. Is because it's started now. We've got it up and running, and most likely we'll be meeting monthly or as needed. Yes, monthly as needed. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So the next item is the Insurance Ad Hoc Committee, and the committee did meet, and we heard a presentation on captives by Gallagher, and Gallagher is the broker at the present time with Third. The committee's opinion, or consensus, I like that word better, consensus, basically was there was no enthusiasm or to develop a captive, program for insurance. And captives basically means that we would own our own insurance company and then a broker would manage it, okay? So what we heard from Gallagher, and then we also heard from Marsh at a previous presentation, is we don't get the sense that there's any kind of cost savings by doing something like this. So at the end of the meeting, Dan Yo said, I really want to go back and talk to these people again and see if there is some other options that we would have, possibly piggybacking onto someone else. We have Walnut Creek, just other options that we might have. And then Anthony Liberatore is going to look into someone that might give us presentation if we owned our own insurance company, but we would manage it. We would not have a broker management. So there's still a lot of consideration. Also, I have to tell you that there are bills in place, which we read in our packet, that address this issue. So the committee will be looking at everything possible that we can do to try to reduce our insurance costs. So the next meeting, as soon as we hear back from Dan and find out when we can have the next presentation, then a meeting will be set for the insurance committee. So thank you. And purchasing ad hoc, we have to work with the ERP system in order to be able to develop our policy, so it's still on hold, okay? So the next item is future agenda items. And the only thing that I would like to add to this, okay, is that at the next board meeting, that we will at that time have the Equestrian Center operating rules that will be presented. And I just need to meet with them a little bit because their operating rules are really great, except I wanted to address some clauses that include enforcement and the process for enforcement of the Equestrian Center, which is a little bit different, than the process for David Sterling. And then we'll be working with Francis Compliance so that we're all working, we're working together to find a process that all departments are in compliance with. So that's where we're heading. And so next month, we'll have the Equestrian Center operating rules. So at this point in time, are there any director comments? Siobhan.
I have an update on the reported shooting on Mariposa. It was reported as shots heard only. There is no evidence of a shooting, and the Orange County Sheriff's Department did not receive any indication of anything like that.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. All right. So if there's no director comments, we will recess at this time. Okay.
I want to remind all the residents that this is a non-smoking facility. And I appreciate it if you practice not smoking even outside at our facilities. Thank you.
Part of that request comes from, we have bands that play over there in the Passive Park by Building 2, Clubhouse 2. And so the odor gets, how do I say it? From the smoking that goes on over there, it's really not acceptable in a community like ours. And we have to basically get the word out And that is part of our nuisance policy, for violation if there is smoking on a GRF facility.
It's
So-
not just smoking, it's what they're smoking.
Right, yes. I was really trying to be diplomatic. And I was really searching for the words. Okay. Okay, thank you. And so we will recess, have our lunch, and then.
President Carpenter, what time would you like the closed meeting to begin at? It's currently 12:21.
12:30? Oh, what?
Oh, it's currently 12:20, so would you want to do 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.